And a good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 1025, 1063, The Game. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your day. We have a great show planned for you this morning. Hal Gill going to join us in about 30 minutes. Tough one for the Predators last night in Ottawa, wrapping up a road trip as they now have one more game before the All-Star break. Joe, what's up?
What's going on, man? Yeah, what happened to the Pret? It was 3-0, and then next thing I know, they lose 4-3, and I thought it was a typo, man.
No, well, they do refer to a 3-0 lead as the most dangerous lead in hockey, and it showed it last night. Yeah, it's a tough one, but got one more chance before a 10-day break, and I think they could use a little bit of a reset. Once they do that, then we'll see what happens. But so we'll talk to Hal about that. The Senior Bowl getting underway, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But Joe, and also at 9:45, we're not going to forget today, I'm done. So what are we done with? We'll do that at 9:45. But Joe, it is hard to believe 24 years ago today, the Titans were in Atlanta playing the Super Bowl. And an interesting, I guess, nugget on that, one of the members of the Titans, Terry Killens, is now about to be an official in his first Super Bowl. He will be the first player to play in a Super Bowl and officiate a Super Bowl.
That's a pretty good little stat. I remember Terry Killens when he was here, and so I wonder if he got the assignment. They were like, hey, man, you've been killing it as a ref, and so let's you shush your mouth. And they just moved him over and said, here you go, you're in the Super Bowl. I would not want to be, and this is where I'm a big sissy, I would not want to be a referee in the Super Bowl or an umpire in the World Series or any of that. I mean, can you imagine
the pressure?
No. Oh, yeah.
Well, and especially now, there's so much scrutiny with officials, and like there was I'm blanking on who it was. There was a basketball player last night in the NBA that was like, yeah, I know I'm going to get fined, but the refs suck tonight. Like it was just like he just said whatever.
Yeah. So that's cool. So 24 years ago, we all remember vividly, if we had been around, what we were doing watching that game and how it ended and everything. And that leads us into the question that we've bantered about for a long time, but it's more apropos on a day like this, right?
Apropos. Wow, that's good.
Yeah, you're welcome. I studied Greek when I was overseas in college.
I eat Greek too.
Went overseas by Percy Priest Lake. That's what I mean. Overseas, yeah. Go ahead. You tell the question.
What if the Titans had won? How different things would have been.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. How would this franchise? How would the city? How would everything be different had they won a Super Bowl? My thing is, had they won that Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure at this point, Eddie or Steve would have been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I think Eddie definitely would be in the Hall of Fame. Just because he's gotten so, he's kind of been moving up with the voting and everything. So I think he would be in, and I think guys like Derek would be closer.
Yeah.
Derek gets nominated every year, and he made it further this year than I think he has. So that's something to consider.
I totally agree. I think you look at a lot of things differently with again, the city, the team, how you measure Jeff. You look, John Gruden and Jeff Fisher are eerily similar as record wise. Yeah. Gruden has a Super Bowl over Fisher. That's basically the only I'm talking on the field. I don't care off the field, whatever, on the field stuff that went on. And that's how you kind of perceive things if you win that Super Bowl. It would have been. Where were you, Chase? You were what, 13, 14?
Let's see. That
12.
would have been, I was 13.
13.
12 going on 13.
Just discovering things, weren't you?
I was just discovering life.
Discovering
life. I will admit it, as a 12 or 13-year-old, I did cry when they lost.
Did you really?
I was very upset. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, you were into the team then.
Jared said he did too. So I'm man enough to admit it.
You got to compare yourself to that. That's pretty sad, but that's okay.
I was sad. I thought,
right.
Hey, this was happening.
The great debate I put out this morning would have been, and Fisher has said this, he would not have gone for 2 in that moment.
I don't believe him.
But that, I mean, you watch that, all the video, the NFL films, everything. I mean, the Rams were done. They were gassed. And they got lucky.
You sounded like Jeff there.
They're gassed. To run the ball. I mean, you got to go for it that moment because they had, that great scene with Kevin Carter on the sidelines. Dick Vermeil's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm tired. He's like, basically like, it's the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Get back in there. I mean, they were just beaten down and exhausted. So I always wonder what that's going to be like. And also it's the one where people say, they were dice was 1 yard away from winning it. It's like, not really.
From potentially tying.
Right. So it's a great debate. It's a lot of fun. And I've always loved hear people's reactions about the what if part of this because it really is. It's a whole what if of things that happen.
Well, and I think the big what if is the city. Because this city has grown even without a Super Bowl championship. But would it be even bigger?
Well, I mean, you would have that's a good one.
Like this I mean, I feel like it's on schedule. The stadium was there. I think we're on schedule for a new stadium anyway. So I don't know if that's any different. But like could there have been Super Bowl? Probably not. Probably wouldn't have hosted a Super Bowl in Nissan Stadium. I don't think that really changes anything.
No, you're right. No,
So I'm curious of the city, of what would have been different with the city.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think of cities that have just won, one Super Bowl. Like the Saints won, but that doesn't define that city because of what New Orleans was before, a long time before that.
Well, and that was kind of like the final piece in recovery, too, when they won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's a good point. 2009, you're right. That's a good point. I'm trying to think teams that have won just one going down the list of because there's so many teams that have won multiple Super Bowls. I mean, the Jets but they, that's New York.
Right. Like, okay, think about cities right now that have never, like, if Jacksonville won a Super Bowl, I think that helps that city.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
That's a game changer for that city. Like, the Texans win one, Houston, it's big, obviously, because that city never won one, as the Oilers, but infrastructure of the city, I don't know how much it really changes.
Alex on the text line. You can text us 615-737-1025. It's like, I'm only 26. Thank God I don't remember that Super Bowl.
Jeez. Why thank God?
Because they lost.
Oh.
Yeah, to watch that.
But still,
you got sympathy, too. 8566 says, full disclosure, Chase, I was 12 and I cried as well.
Yeah, look.
Chaser.
We were all invested. All invested in that thing.
Yeah, it was. We all remember it vividly. It was the whole road. Music City Miracle, beating Peyton Manning, going to Jacksonville and just pounding them into the sand, and then going to the Super Bowl and getting that. But it's just it pops up in the memories every time. When it was 15 years, like God, that was 15 years ago. But now it just seems like 24 years ago. They're about to play Super Bowl 58. That was Super Bowl 34. If you go the other way, makes it Super Bowl 10, and that was like the Cowboys and the Steelers and that. So it's just, I know it's a fun game to play, but you see a lot of different things that go on. But it was crazy. Growing up here, having a Super Bowl, good Lord.
Michael says, I don't think either Eddie or Steve ever leaves the team if they win. They both probably retire as Titans. He also says, on the road, we'll text you later when I see this. Call if urgent. We got you, Michael.
We need to call him right now and say, hey, man, are you on the road yet?
Hey, you good?
You on the road?
Where you at? I think there is something interesting about that. Like, Steve and Eddie probably finished their careers here. It definitely changes things.
It does. It changes a lot of things. But, then you back-to-back with, the 2000. They probably would have come back and won in 2000.
That team in 2000 was better. And, like, that team, that one almost – Derek has always told me that one hurts more because they knew they actually had the team. Like, 99 was a little bit of a surprise. But 2000, they had a Super Bowl caliber team and came up short.
They did. 99 was pretty luck, which, that's fine. Whatever it takes to get there. 2000. And I still, that 2008 team was fantastic because there was so much drama in that team that they rallied around each other. When Vince disappeared after the opening game, and they rallied around each other, and they just beat Pittsburgh, a month before at Nissan pretty bad. And so they were feeling good, best team in the league. And then Baltimore came in here and beat them again. I mean, that was tough. That was a tough one. That was a good football team that I thought could go to Tampa and get to the Super Bowl. So 3 chances really of, what, the 99 team I never thought could go there. 2000, 2008, I thought for sure could get there. Of course, the 2019
99 team, we were all like, hey, we're just happy to, finally have a team that's got its own stadium and its own name.
Oh, exactly.
Like that. Like it was, because even though they had been here in Tennessee the 2 years before as the Oilers, it didn't feel like they were ours. They were playing at Memphis and then they played at Vanderbilt, and so to open up then Adelphia Coliseum and actually be the Titans, that felt like the first season.
Yeah, it did. 13-3 in the first year, 99 rolling. I always said one of the biggest wins in franchise history. I'm going all the way back to 1960. Was that opening win over the Bengals in 99 because that really, if they lose that game.
And they barely won that game.
Yeah, Del Greco kicked the field goal at the end, but they all kind of set the tone, and then they didn't lose for like a year and a half, and it was so loud, and the Rams game with Javon Curse and false start Fred Miller and all that went on. I mean, the city was just enraptured in all that happened, and the cover of Sports Illustrated back when SI was relevant. That was a lot of things happening for the city, and it felt great, man. It was good, and things were going well. I get to the Super Bowl, but they'll be back, and then they never have. It's one of those things where that's why, Dan Campbell said the other day is like, getting there to the Super Bowl was when they lost. He's like, it's just so difficult. Truly getting to the championship game's tough, but then getting to the Super Bowl is even harder. And then to win it, my goodness.
Yeah. Well, and I have a thought on that because I was watching a little bit of what he had to say last night. They kind of did a deep dive on it. And I have an interesting thought that Lions fans aren't going to want to hear, but it relates to what we're talking about with the Titans. We'll do that. We're up and running here on a Tuesday. You can weigh in 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll talk to Hal Gill at the bottom of the hour, chasing Big Joe, 1025-1063, The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We'll have I'm Done at 9:45, a pair of tickets to see the Predators and Kings. Tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena, we'll be on the line for that here on the Chasing Big Joe show, brought to you by Regal Realty Group on this Tuesday. So the Lions, and 24 years ago today, the Titans were in the Super Bowl and lost that game. Kevin Dyson 1 yard short from potentially tying it, needed an extra point, all those things. We all remember that. But Detroit, you bring up the Lions, and there are a lot of people that are like, hey, that's a good team. Dan Campbell's built something there. They'll be back. The odds are they probably won't be, because think about everything that goes into that process. Like, the Titans, the next year they were better, but they also, it's pretty rare to say this, they lost their offensive coordinator in Les Steckel, and I think upgraded in Mike Heimerdinger. That offense changed. Obviously, guys like Derek broke out, the next year and became an integral part of that offense. Steve really broke out and became a household name in the NFL. So that was a little bit different, but they never got back. They got close. They sniffed it, but they never got back. The Lions, there's a good chance they lose both their coordinators with this coaching cycle. They're a big part of that. So, hopefully they are, that they can bounce back and get further next year, but it's hard to win in this league. And I heard Taylor Lewan say it one time, it's a lot easier to go from 2 wins to 7 wins than it is to go from 7 to 9 and 9 to 11 and 11 to, just adding on, because the further up the food chain you get, the harder it gets.
So I went back 20 years for the Titans last in the AFC Championship game against the Raiders back in the 2002 season. Here are the teams
Bill
that
Callahan,
lost.
the head coach.
That's right. Our teams that lost. Colts the next year won a Super Bowl. Steelers in 2004 won a Super Bowl. These are teams that lost. Broncos 2005 won a Super Bowl. Patriots won many. Chargers never got back 2007. Ravens 2008 AFC Championship game, won a Super Bowl in 12. The Jets went back-to-back. They never got back after 9 and 10. Ravens in 11 and on. And it's peppered with the Patriots, Colts. Like the Jags went in 2017 when they played the Patriots. And then after that, Chiefs, Titans, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens. So, I see what you're saying. A lot's got to go correct for you to do that. But also, all these teams that did this, they have a common denominator, right? They have a fantastic quarterback.
Right.
And the Lions got one in Jared Goff. And then if you do lose your coordinators, you have to upgrade and just, pray for no injuries. I do think the extra game, it takes a lot. Like the Chiefs are now without their defensive end. I forget his name, who blew his ACL out now. It just takes so much to get there, and you got to have guys that don't get injured. That's why I was like, I hate the 17th game. It's really, I don't know. I remember the days of the 14-game schedule. It was great. Then it went 16, which is fine, but added another game, and I'm sure they'll go 18 at some point, but they have to expand those rosters and get the guys in there. Just a lot that goes on, but you're correct, man. It's tough to get back and to do it again, and the fact that Chiefs have been able to do it is crazy. They've just 18, 19, 20. They've been all these since 2018.
Well,
they've been to the games.
Fourth Super Bowl that Mahomes has played in. And that's the thing. It just shows you that quarterbacks like that, the elite of the elite, they don't grow on trees.
Right. You're right.
And that's why that there's only one, like, elite of the elite. His name's Patrick Mahomes, because he's the one that's proven it. The others are pretty elite, but, like, Burrow's gotten 1 Super Bowl. So if you're just going strictly on that, then Burrow's second. Allen hadn't gotten to 1. And then Lamar hadn't gotten 1. If that's your top 4 right now, it just shows you how difficult it is to win in this league.
It is.
And it's not supposed to be easy.
No, you're right. It's not. Our question of the day is 24 years ago today, the Titans lost the Super Bowl to the Rams. How would the narrative change? What's a fun game to play, the old what-if game, and what would have happened? And I said I said, the Rams are gassed, and this guy says they weren't too gassed. The Rams were too gassed to stop one of the premier receivers at the time from getting a TD. Yeah, you're correct. I mean, it's a hell of a play that Mike Jones played to stop the 1 yard line. But again, you throw the ball in the end zone, you don't have that problem. And we could break this game down all day long over and over again. But I mean, they just didn't get the job done at the 1 yard line. I mean, that's the what we had left with for forever to see that. But it's fun to play the what if game. But had they gone and won the Super Bowl, I mean, it would have been.
What's also interesting about this thing with the Lions is, like Cameron on our text line says, 0 chance the Lions make it back. Campbell is a rah-rah coach with an okay at best quarterback. Now everybody went from loving Dan Campbell and he's the best to they watched that game the other day and now they've all turned on him. And look, he admitted, I gambled and I lost. He said that in the press conference. And he did. And looking back on it now, he made some dumb decisions that I think cost him the game. You just take one of those, you kick one of those field goals, it would have been, they could have tied it up. Could have gone to overtime. Could have been a completely different game. But, you can't live in revisionist history.
No, you can't.
That's what we do.
It's fun to do that, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's our job.
That's right. We could do that all day long and get it done. Yeah, so it would have been, having the Super Bowl champions to the cities and all that. But, like a city like Carolina, they've been to 2 and lost those. Minnesota 4, Buffalo 4. I mean, just that one Super. I mean, with Minnesota, the one, even winning one. Buffalo, the same thing. The one Super Bowl. How would have changed the whole dynamic of what you talk about in those teams.
Yeah, that's it's just it's interesting to play the what if game.
It is.
That's really the best way to put it. I wanted to get to it. There was a text. Chris said Eddie George will be a Hall of Famer in my book regardless. The very first day I moved to Nashville, I was in line at the Brentwood Starbucks. He was also there in line behind me. We started chatting. I jokingly reminded him that he beat out my Nebraska Cornhuskers, Tommy Frazier, for the Heisman. He then bought my coffee and said, "You're going to love Nashville. Sorry about the Heisman."
Oh, man.
Oh, Eddie's a Hall of Fame person for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
We all know that. A good man, what he's done, at TSU. It's fun.
It's like our text line woke up at 9:15.
Yeah, I know. That's what I keep getting distracted.
They're just coming in with all those that go on. I mean, again, we go back, not to belabor the point, but I mean, 24 years ago, I remember there was a big ice storm in Nashville that weekend that was going on. It was cold as what in Atlanta that week. And that's also, it's kind of unfair for the Titans at the time. And, I guess both teams, because there was only a week between the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. They only had, so they got back from Jacksonville on a Sunday night, the big party at Nissan Stadium, and then Monday they're back on the road again down to Atlanta. I remember going to a cover practice at Georgia Tech on that Tuesday, and it was like 38 degrees, and we had to gather in a tent outside Georgia Tech, and it was just so cold. And I think the Rams got to practice indoors somewhere, and I was like, this is just brutal. Yeah, because they didn't have because somebody said to me one time, why didn't they just practice in the bubble? They didn't have the bubble yet, right? Because they were still in Bellevue, I think. Well, they were already in Atlanta.
No, I know, but I mean, like, their practice facility here, they weren't where they are now. They were still in the doctor's office. They weren't in the trailers.
Correct. That's right.
They were still in the doctor's office at Bellevue and just had the outdoor field. They didn't even have the practice bubble yet. So,
well, still, when they went to Atlanta, the one practice I had to cover was at Georgia Tech, and it was maybe got above 38 degrees that day, and it was just awful. But there was no turnaround. Now, I'm not saying that would have decided who won the game or not, but it was just. I don't think they've made that mistake since then. I think it's always been 2 weeks now after that.
Just so this is Ben. Ben says Sam Darnold is going to be the first quarterback from the 2018 class to play in a Super Bowl, just to show you who has and hasn't been there and how tough it is. And he's probably not even going to play. He's just going to be there. But that's interesting to think about.
Yeah, true.
Viking Matt, Dan Campbell pulled the Denny Green 98 move and coached himself out of a Super Bowl appearance. R.I.P. Coach Green.
How did he do that? I just know they –
Well, I mean, Denny Green, they missed a field goal. Gary Anderson missed the field goal.
Is that not? It's not Denny Green's fault they
No.
missed a field goal.
I don't remember that game. So,
I do.
there
I
could've
mean, it
been-
was a loaded. I mean, because we paid attention because Chris Chandler was on that team, former Oiler quarterback, was now leading that team, and the Vikings were stacked. I mean, we would seen them at Vanderbilt just a few weeks before, with Moss and Carter, and Brian Billick was the offensive coordinator. I mean, that was a loaded team. I think John Randall was on that team as well. I mean, that was a good football team, but. That's why the home field advantage to me is just the biggest misnomer in all of sports. It just is, because the Falcons went in the Metrodome and beat them. Look what the Chiefs did on the road,
Yeah.
The Titans, there were instances where the home field helps, but the Titans in 2019 go into New England and to Baltimore and beat them down. So, and then the Bengals come here in 21 and beat the Titans with the number 1 seed. So it's just, I think after the ball is snapped, man, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Coming up next, it was a tough one for the Predators. They fall 4-3 in overtime after leading 3-0 last night. We'll talk to Hal Gill, get his thoughts on that one. Coming up next here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, broadcasting from the Spring Hill Heating and Cooling Game Nashville studios, keeping your home feeling comfortable all year round. Let's say hello to our man, Hal Gill. He was on the radio call last night with the great Pete Weber. And Skillsy, just a tough one. Up 3-0 and fall 4-3 in overtime in Ottawa. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's a late arrival back in after a kind of a shell-shock game. It was, but I've got a point. That point will mean something. We'll see as this goes on. But, yeah, that was a tough one. You know, like I look at that first period was so in favor of the Preds. It was like, okay, this is an easy one. And that young team, tons of talent on that team for Ottawa. Surprises me that they're not a better team, but they just came out and they had nothing to lose and went for it and came back into it and got the win.
Was the second period more, Ottawa's just resolve and them battling back, or do you think there's something the Predators could have done better?
You know what the thing is as I was thinking about it, and I know there's some people that don't believe in momentum and flow changes, and you take it shift by shift, and you are what you are. But I think there was a point, you look at that game, Brady Tkachuk has a chance right in front in the first period, and Saros makes this unreal save and keeps it out, and then they go down and they get a good bounce, and it goes on McCarron's stick, and boom, they're up 1-0. That could have been the other way, and then you fast forward, they get two more goals in that period, so it makes it 3-0, which it could have gone the other way real quick, and it could have been a 1-1 game or 2-1 game, something like that, and then I think the Preds are dialed in, ready to go in the second period. Instead, it's 3-0, and there you go. Hey, you know what? I think we got this one. This team isn't very good, and we've been tested all along. It's about time we got a game that we can just roll through. And they laid off the gas a little bit, and then Ottawa pushed. And so it's a funny game like that. It's you can't lose traction for a second, because if you slip, then you're down and you're out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. What feeling did you have last night of the here they come?
Well, you know what? It was just they've got. I don't see this very often with the Preds and the way they play. But they got beat up the ice, and you look at some of the goals they had. The Stützle goal, it was he just beat the Preds up the ice, and you look at it and you say, okay, it was a nice play, but they shouldn't have gotten that opportunity. The Preds usually are backtracking hard, and those things don't happen. And if they do happen, it's a rarity, but it happened regularly in that second period. I think it's the mental game that you're playing right now, leading up into the break, is okay, good, we got a 3-goal lead and we can just relax a little bit, because this has been exhausting. It's an exhausting time of year, and I remember going through that as a younger player. It was like, wow, I don't know how I'm doing this, and as an older player, I'm going, I know that the break is coming up, I just got to get there, and that's not the way you should be out there playing. And I'm not saying the guys have really set their sights on the break, but I know it's an exhausting time of year, and you could see that exhaustion creep in that second period.
I know all the guys are getting paid, and I know they're in the NHL and everything like that, but all too often now, do you think guys look at a team's record before the game and it's like, they're not playing really good, let's go out there and do that? Isn't that dangerous if you do that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you can say, hey, I got a job to do. You can say, hey, this is important. Hey, I got to focus. But you're playing the team that's last, and they're not good, and you're up 3-0. I think everyone can agree that you can. Okay, good. Well, we got this team where we want them now. We just got to go finish this game, and if you don't put in the hard work, then you lose those 3-goal leads. So I do think. I've had this debate with people over and over again, but I've been in those guys' shoes, and that just all it takes is that little edge that you back off a little bit, and that's all it takes sometimes.
Hal Gill is with us, presented by Duncan. on the Chasing Big Joe show. That goal by Phil Tomasino was about as pretty and nasty as you can get all at the same time. What does something like that, a moment like that, do for a young guy and his confidence?
Well, I think it was funny. I saw, talking to Chris Mason in between periods. I'm like, what do you think of that one? And he's like, that's first round stuff right there. That's what we've been waiting to see from Tomasino. I thought Tomer had a good game, came in and was explosive and attacking the game. And then I love to see him get rewarded because, I can attack the game. I can't roof it like that. And it's a skill set that you need to have, but you need to attack the game as well, And so if you combine those together like you did on that play, watch out. I mean, that's what we've been dying to see is, the Cody Glass, he had a good game in Edmonton. Can he build on that? Can he get better? And I think, these young guys, once they see, okay, I drive the net hard, I attack, and I have the skill to score goals, once they start going in, then they get the confidence, and then it starts to build. So hopefully Tomer can take that one and start building with it because I do think he's played some good hockey, just it's been sporadic. And so, that's the other thing about the NHL is you got to be consistent. You can't take too many nights off. You can have a bad game, but you can't have 2 or 3 in a row.
I feel like sporadic is a really good word to describe, like, some of the young guys and, maybe at times we haven't seen quite Superman Saros, even though I think overall he's been okay. If some of that comes together in the second half after the All-Star break, we're having a completely different conversation because we know what the veteran guys like Forsberg and O'Reilly and Nyquist have been doing. Yeah, no,
that's the exciting part for me. I don't think we've seen the best from Juice, although I thought he made, that save in particular. Not, you can look at the goals that he gave up, but I think he made some big saves that kept them in that game and gave them a chance. And that's what you need is a goalie that gives you a chance to win. Now, Juice, if he goes out and starts stealing games left and right like he's done in the past, now we're talking, a whole different level. Never mind the fact that you talked about the veterans that have been scoring. If you do get that secondary scoring, like Tomasino, Glass, Novak, Evangelista, like chipping in from the fourth line and the third line with occasional goals, and I think you're looking at a team that is on the line right now, and they could do some big things in the second half. And so I think it's exciting to watch, but you can't count your chickens till they hatch. Did I even say that right? It's
Yes,
early
you
in the
did.
morning for me. Yeah, I did it. Can't tell. Yeah. So I think 2 birds in the bush, chickens hatching, and all those things. I think we're tracking the right way, and if we can get that scoring, watch out.
Yeah, whatever cliche you want to throw out there, Hal, we're good with any of them. We'll back you 100%. Hey, what's the message from Coach Burnett to this hockey team tomorrow night? Because they have that nice break, everything that's going on. What's the message that you think he gives to his hockey team?
Well, I think you had that. It's been a lot of road hockey, and I think the big thing is you dial in and win one at home. You're going to need to have confidence after the All-Star break at home. You're going to have to win games at home. The league is too good. And I know home ice isn't what it used to be, but it means a lot when you get Bridgestone rocking and you give them something to cheer about and you win games at home. So I think his message is going to be dial in. This is a team that in LA that has been struggling, and you just beat them. You just went out and played a really good, solid game. So you want to kind of go off of that blueprint that you had in LA and play the same game at home, but dial in give us 60 minutes, boys, and we can go and really enjoy our break. I hate to say it, but if you have a bad game the day before you go on vacation, it sits with you. You might be on the beach, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking about the play that you messed up, or you're thinking about the goal that went in that you shouldn't have allowed, or the missed shot that you took. And so I think the message will probably be dial in, because you're going to have to sit on this one for a while, and it would feel really good to get 2 points at home, get Bridgestone rocking, and then go off and enjoy some time away from the rink.
Well, Hal, we look forward to seeing you and everybody else tomorrow night in Smashville as the Predators take on the LA Kings. Thanks so much for doing this, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Have a good one, guys.
You too. Hal Gill, presented by Duncan, here on the Chasing Big Joe Show, joins us every Tuesday at 9:30 as things really ramping up for the Predators. It's hard to believe that trade deadline is about a month or so away, and this is where things really get busy. I guess is the word I'm trying to use for the Predators. Coming up next, it's time for I'm Done, and you must participate. On the line, though, a pair of tickets to see the Predators tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena for a Black History celebration. We'll have a pair of tickets for you. You must bring the passion and participate in I'm Done. What's something that you're done with? You can be mad at a person, a thing, whatever. What are you done with? Call or text 615-737-1025. The best one will win a pair of tickets to the game tomorrow night, which includes a Battle of the Bands presented by Nissan, recognition of all 4 HBCUs during the game, and local black artist performances, and more. You can visit NashvillePredators.com/Black History Night to learn more. I'm Done. Next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, friends, I love hearing from all of you who have used Medical House Calls and love the experience and care. Now, here's how it works. First, you're going to give them a call because all visits start with a phone call with one of the providers to determine the extent of your needs. 2, pick your treatment. Answer a few questions. They'll provide you with the best treatment options: home visit, telehealth, or virtual prescription. 3rd, you will feel better in no time. Their great medical staff will get you up and running, and yes, feeling better in no time. Board-certified nurse practitioners and physician's assistants will guide you the entire way. In fact, Chuck McDowell used Medical House Calls, so impressed with the service, their commitment, and care, he bought the company. Just visit the website. It's medicalhousecalls.com. That is medicalhousecalls.com, where the nearest clinic is your home.
it's just like, just say it. Like, you don't need to keep telling everybody that you have a strong opinion. Like, we get it.
Right.
You have a strong opinion. And no, I'm not talking about Jared. Like, we understand that you like to put your opinion out there. Just do it.
Yeah, right.
Just do it and own it. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. I'm done. What are you done with? 615-737-1025. On the line, a pair of tickets to see the Predators take on the Kings tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena. JoJo, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, mine's simple today. And I thought about this. I'm done with and I was guilty of this for many years with nobody cares. I think I'm just done with that. With going on, nobody cares. Hey, this has happened. Nobody cares. Hey, did you see that? Nobody cares. I'm just done with that. I know it's not like hard hitting, but it's something that's been bothering me for a while. It's like, all right. I mean, why do you have to tell? Like, why should I take your sunshine away from you? Like, hey, I'm going to go to the soccer game Saturday night. Nobody cares. Why do we – I just don't know, no one cares. I don't know. I don't know why we tend to do that overall. It's because maybe – I was like that, maybe insecure in your own world where you put other people down. But, yeah, I'm done
I just
with
thought
that.
You needed a hug.
No, I do. I had plenty of hugs. Away from the office, though, because that's not construed harassment.
Yeah, right.
But, no, that's my thing is like just, celebrate. If you want to go do this, that, hey, man, more power to you. And so maybe I'm getting older and have a different view on things. But I used to be that guy that would put you down to make myself feel better because I was an absolute loser. So no more. So when nobody cares, I'm like, all right, whatever. That sounds good.
Okay. I like that one. And mine is actually similar. It's along the same lines. I am a big pro wrestling fan, and I have been for a very, very long time. And I think I've used something similar to this before on one of these type segments, but I love wrestling. And this weekend was the Royal Rumble, and, we have a Hall of Fame wrestler coming on with us this week that I'm really excited about. And so I teased that in a tweet last night and, had some really fun response because I'm like, hey, let's have fun with this. Like, I'm not going to say who it is yet.
Right.
And, you can have some people that guess and everything. And there's one person on Twitter that, like, doesn't even have the stones to be a real person, to have, like, a picture or, their name. It's one of those, like, I'm going to hide behind a fake avatar and say whatever I want, be a keyboard warrior when, really I'd like you to take your computer and I'd like you to put it behind your car and run it over because I really don't need to hear from you. But, it gets me fired up because they always have something to say about, things that we do. And it's like the crowd that says, it's scripted, right? It's not real, right? You know what? I don't care. Number one, like they're athletes, and I will argue that with you all day long. One of your best friends, Reno Riggins, did it for a long time.
That's right. Made a nice living off of it.
Yeah, and it hurts. Like you can say it's fake all you want. It hurts. Guys get hurt. Girls get hurt. Is it scripted? Yeah, it's a show. But guess what? You watch, Days of Our Lives or Friends or whatever. That's scripted. You're gonna like tweet about that, going, it's scripted, right? It's not real. Like, okay, I enjoy it. So don't take away my sunshine, like you just said. I'm done with the, it's real to me, damn it. so just let me have my fun.
That's good.
And it's that one. It's the one. I'm not even going to say their Twitter account.
Yeah, don't let him get to you, man. The text line loaded up. I'll read some of these. 6809 says, I'm done with Jared Stillman. That's pretty much
we get that every week. We need the bell. So
right.
used to when you just made the list, we had the bell. Whenever somebody put Jared on the list, we just hit the bell. So, Fraser, we need to get the little ding.
Clinton Clarksville says, I'm done with the haters on Brock Purdy. Boy, there are a lot of them out there, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, tons.
Mark from Clarksville, I'm done with the Chiefs. That's all. I have nothing else to say. I think a lot of people are done with that. 1423 says, I'm done with my employer turning down my suggestions of an allotted beer break during the day. I understand that there as well.
That's a good one. Yeah, you keep asking.
Yeah, you'll get it one day. 8743, I'm done with traffic. Yeah, we're done with that one. 4650 says, great segment. I'm done with winter. Done, just done. Can we all just move south? Yeah, we can, but there's a lot of people I don't want to take with me.
Okay.
James said, I'm done with Dan effing Campbell. In the final minute, TD instead of the field goal preventing the Niners cover. I had in place. There we go. Our buddy Hair Metal Henry says, I'm done with the terms, collaboration, and lockstep in my house. Ooh. It's my way or the highway. Big Joe knows. He'll tell you. I will take your wife's side on the Henry. Because
Henry, we both know your wife, and I'm going to say you're on an island by yourself on that one.
Yeah, we way over married with your beautiful wife. So
it's
sorry.
her way or the highway.
Too bad there as well. Yeah, so there's a lot that I'm done. I mean, with that, and that's a lot of things. The Brock Purdy thing, I've seen a lot of that. Like, well, how can he? And he's not any good. He's a game manager. Who cares?
Yeah. Ron says, I'm done with the Titans living in the Flintstones era and not living in the Jetsons era. Time for a change. Well, I think they just made a pretty big change.
Yeah. God, that made my head think for a second there. I was like, okay.
I like the analogy. That's good.
It's really good, yeah. Stone Age to the New Age.
Oh, this is a good one. 1503. I'm done with this generation's work ethic. Teenagers in early 20s just don't care about work, have this whatever attitude. Amen to that.
They did. One of the best things, though, is when there's this guy that got fired from Starbucks because he had to work an 8-hour shift and he was tired. And he was like some 19-year-old kid's like, I'm done working 8 hours a day. And I mean, it's beautiful. It is a beautiful meltdown to watch that. I would say nobody cares, but it's like, all right, man, you're in for a big awakening soon.
I will say this, and look, I'm pretty lucky as a manager. I mean, Nick Frazier is a prime example of somebody that I think has got a little bit of an old soul, but he understands what work is and paying your dues. But I hear it all the time of people that, are in this industry and other industries. It's like, yeah, nobody wants to work anymore. Everybody just like hand it to me.
6809 says, hey, Chase, quit making fun of Reno Riggins or I'll come down there and put you in a figure 4 on you and you'll scream like a little girl. Uh-oh, Chase, watch out now.
Well, I don't think I was making fun of.
You weren't at all.
Is that Reno Riggins?
It's not Reno Riggins.
I'm done with Wes in Clarksville. I'm done with Taylor Swift. She dumped me for Kelsey. Yeah, me too, man.
Oh, wow. I mean, and that's another thing. I'm loving these conspiracy theories about her and Travis Kelce. They're fascinating that people can form like it's government put them together to promote the Pfizer shot. I mean, it's crazy, all this stuff that goes on out there. Can they not just, hang out and be in love or whatever? Do we have to have a theory behind that? I mean, we remember vividly last summer, right? The guy shot his shot, right?
Yeah.
When she came to Kansas City, he's like, I sent her all these notes and messages and blah, blah. We were laughing.
Hey, good on him, man.
Yeah.
He made it work.
Yeah, he did.
All right, Benjamin, I want you to expand on this a little bit because I want to follow you. I'm done with old heads not respecting hardworking men in their 20s and old men that don't have a work balance. Like, what do you mean?
Old heads not respecting hardworking men in their 20s.
I mean, I'm all about a work-life balance. Like, there are times where I'm like, hey, I'm done. I'm done working. I put 12 hours in today. I'm gonna go sit at the bar and have a beer with my friends.
0.0.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Oh man.
Let's go to Wes in Hermitage on the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Wes, what's up?
Oh, good morning, fellas. I gotta elaborate on this, and I'm hoping that I'm not the only one, but man, I work 10 or 11-hour days, so sometimes when I get home and I'm ready to cook dinner, it's like, oh, man, I forgot the rice, I forgot the butter, and you just got to run to the grocery store. Those nights where you just got to run and grab one thing.
Yep.
If you've got a full grocery cart full of stuff, don't go in the expressway.
Oh,
it's not for you. Oh, my gosh, it drives me nuts. I'm standing there with milk and bread or toilet paper, and there's somebody just scanning 37 packs of ramen noodles, just boop, boop. I'm like, come on, man. And that's all I got. That needs to stop right now.
That's a really good one, Wes. Appreciate the call.
That was mine kind of last week. It's like if you're going through the self-checkout line, don't do it when you got fruit and vegetables.
Yeah.
Because you can't figure out the screen. The worker barely can figure out the screen. Go to the other line where they can figure it out themselves, and you're not backing people up like that because you'll stand there forever. That's a really good one.
It's funny, like that right there, I think, is what's wrong with society is just how much we don't care or oblivious people are. Of just like, there's been times where I walk in the express lane, I have 2 items, and there's somebody in front of me that has 25, and they just kind of look at you like, well, sucks to be you.
Oh,
sucks
yeah.
to suck.
Michael's got a good one, and I really like this one. He says, I'm done with people during the national anthem screaming their own custom words like, oh, say, can you see? Or home of the Chiefs. It's the national anthem, not your fight song. 100% agree, but it's never going to stop.
Yeah. I don't like it either. I mean, it's even kind of become a thing here, with the "Oh Say Can You See." I feel like it's a newer thing. I'm just and it's free country. You can do what you want, but I'm of the old school that's you take a minute and a half, 2 minutes, stand there, hand over your heart, and honor the country.
One more real quick. 9756 says, I'm done with winter too. That's why I'm sitting in South Florida in shorts.
Nice.
And Cody needs to finish his story against Roman, not Seth.
That's a wrestling reference.
How dare you talk wrestling? It's fake.
Yeah, well, you and that fake Twitter account can talk about it some more.
Oh, that guy's giving me grief throughout the year, so I just
know.
laugh. I mean,
we'll get a winner on this. We'll text you or call you if you're one of the winners. And Teron Davenport going to join us from the Senior Bowl at the bottom of the hour. That's all coming up in hour number 2. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game here on this Tuesday. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe. We'll have Teron Davenport join us at the bottom of the hour. Senior Bowl this week. Get his thoughts on some prospects that the Titans could be looking at, and also the latest on Brian Callahan putting his staff together and his thoughts on that. So looking forward to a chat with TD. Hey, tune in to 94.9 The Fan this Thursday. Vanderbilt women's basketball takes on Ole Miss at home. Pregame at 6:15. Tip-off at 6:30 with coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app.
You have sorry about that, but people are still weighing in on the I'm Dones.
Oh, yeah.
Here's something else, too. And I know we're going all places, but this is your show, my friends. We do this show for you. It's a public service to make you smile, make you laugh. So we got the I'm Done. A lot have come in, Chase, on the text line about the potholes, right, around the city. So if you know where there's a massive pothole, hit the text line, and we'll tell you. I'll tell you right now, there's one on Lebanon Road in Donaldson in front of Taco Bell and Publix that I swear, if you hit it, it will jar your dead relatives from 1,000 years ago. I'm telling you. I hit it about a week ago, and I'm like, what just happened? I mean, it's so if there's a bad pothole in your area to avoid, and at night you can't see them, right? So I saw it at night, and I hit it, and I think it woke my great-grandpa up, who's been dead 100 years. I mean, it's that bad of a pothole. And I know we could gripe.
There's one on 40 on this side of town that's awful.
Where about?
It's right before you get to White Ridge Road. It's where the seam. See, a lot of them happen in the seams. So it's where like the seam of like a bridge happens, and it's just like you can't see it. Like even in the daytime, you can't really see it. And I think there might be a Taco Bell in it. That's how big it is.
That's great. What I love too is that, and God bless the TDOT workers and the NDOT who bust their tail every day. It's not their fault, right?
No.
And then what I love is the fact that they'll have to shut down like a lane or two of the interstate to do these potholes, and people honk at them and yell at them they're doing this to get the potholes out of the way. But I'm telling you,
potholes and then complain about fixing the potholes.
Right. But I'm just telling you, the one in Donaldson, watch out in front of Taco Bell going towards town. That one will take your soul, and you'll never be heard from or seen again.
I agree, and we go through it every year, and we just had a really big snow. I mean, there was snow and ice for over a week, and, it's just like, I get it. It sucks, to have the potholes, and, we don't have the infrastructure. All our northerners want to make fun of us of like, oh, you can't drive in the snow, can you? We do up in Princeton. But it's like, okay, we don't have the infrastructure. We don't get it a lot down here.
We don't.
Once a year. So why would we spend the money to have, tons and tons of salt and all the snow plows?
Right.
And let's use our common sense there. But
can't do that.
But then we complain like, okay, you fixed that. Oh, now they're potholes. It's like, what more do you want them to do?
Yeah, exactly. So just let us know. Pop on the text line. We see some. We'll pop up there and let you know. We talked a lot this morning. 24 years ago, the Titans went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Rams in a game. Have you ever watched – you said you went back and watched that game
Yeah.
like recently from start to finish?
It was about 6 months ago. It was a random Sunday. It was in the summer, I think. And Willy actually texted Derek and I and said, hey, the Super Bowl's on NFL Network. And I was like, do I really want to do this? And so I turned it on, and it was the start of the second half, which, the Titans didn't do anything in the first half, really. And so it was the start of the second half, and I got sucked in. And it was like the emotions all came back. I knew the outcome, but it was just the highs and the lows of the whole game, and watching Steve McNair, avoid sack after sack and make play after play and put them in the position to win. Eddie ended at 2 touchdowns in that game. And Eddie couldn't get going. That was the part of the problem.
I think only had one, right?
It was
because they scored 16. That was like 3 field goals. Yeah, field goals, and then Eddie's touchdown that right?
Yeah, I guess that is right. He set up one of those field goals.
Did he?
I don't remember.
He set him up.
I don't remember. But yeah, so it
Well, what was your takeaway from watching it now as was,
Well, I mean, I got frustrated, at Les Steckel, who was the offensive coordinator at the time, because they weren't throwing the ball down the field. And, there were a few plays that, including the one in the end zone, with Dyson, where Chris Sanders is wide open. And, I'm like, why are they not getting the ball to, throwing it downfield? And, that just wasn't how they were built at the time. I mean, everything was centered around Eddie. It was all about 2-7. And so, it was just that frustration started coming back. And I kind of related it to, some of the problems the Titans had now. That was just like that, they were too invested in the run game at that point. And when Heimerdinger came in, it was still, Eddie was still a focal point of the offense, but he started spreading the ball around.
Yeah, I mean, it was that was the whole thing. It was like run. I mean, they had Eddie George. I mean, that was the thing. It Eddie George and just pound him because we'd seen what his first year in 96 down in the Astrodome, and of course 97, 98 and the transition, and 99 just running over and bowling over people. But I think, for that year, I think, and follow me here, I might get crushed on this, but I don't care. I think had they not had Javon Curse, that team goes 8-8.
Oh, I don't disagree with you.
I think it's one of the few times in history where one player really put a team on his back and they fed off of that and just went crazy. I mean, the Rams game was amazing because it was so loud.
Yeah,
they were like 6-0, and they were the love of the league. The Rams were, and watching Javon Curse, and every time he went on the field, people went crazy. Can I tell you my best Javon Curse story? I think I told you this one time. So 2008, when he came back, Fisher made him inactive for one game, right?
Yeah.
So instead of being, so he went, and I asked Javon about this. Like, yeah, he goes, I had no idea. He goes, I was in the locker room before the game getting ready, and they came up to me and said, hey, you're inactive. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, you're inactive this game. He's like, all right, y'all take care. And he went home and watched. It was a Monday night game, I think it was. And he went home and watched the game on his TV at home, right? And I said, what was you? He's like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I was so mad. I just wanted to go. He goes, all my family was in town. And I called him and said, hey, we're going to the crib to watch the game. And then Javon and his whole family went back to the house and watched the game. I was like, what was that like? He's like, it was cool, man. Sitting there watching my guys play because I wanted to be out there with them, but my family was there. We just had a big old party. And I was mad for a little bit, but I just left. Can you imagine? You're there and like, all right, I'm out. I'll see you guys later. And he left.
Probably got the, hey, Javon, look.
I think he told me, if I remember correctly, that Fisher didn't tell him. Somebody else told him and said, hey, you're going to be inactive this game. He's like, all right, cool. All right, I'll catch you guys later. And
Catch
Javon,
you on the flippity flip.
and he left and was gone after that, which is just simply fantastic. I mean, if you get a chance to talk to him, he is as jacked today as he was 25 years ago. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, just that strength and that power and everything that he had when he came into the league back in 1999, man, I'm not sure. It'll be a long time before we see something like that because he dominated from day one.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can weigh in on anything that we're talking about, including how much things could have been different if the Titans had won the Super Bowl 24 years ago today. Is the anniversary of that. Plus, we'll talk to Teron Davenport at the bottom of the hour, chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase and Big Joe here on this Tuesday. We're officially inviting you to our first ever Super Saturday. Join us Saturday, February 10th at New Heights Brewery in Nashville from 1 to 5 for this fun, family-friendly Soup Fest benefiting the Nashville Predators Foundation. You can enjoy live music, games for kids, and come sample soup from Bavarian Beer House, Mama's Java Cafe, City Tap, and more. To purchase tickets and to see all participating restaurants, you can head to theGameNashville.com/soup, and you can also enter to win tickets to Super Saturday simply by texting in the keyword soup, S-O-U-P, now to 615-737-1025. So really looking forward to that. We'll be out there, and, whenever there's food, Joe and I come around.
We are. I'm bringing my special Soylent Green soup that day, too, so it'll be really good. Chase,
And your spoon.
You have any idea what I'm talking about when I say Soylent Green?
No idea.
Look it up. It's a movie with Charlton Heston. It's where it's a fantastic movie. It's where the world has run out of food and everybody becomes a cannibal, and they call it Soylent Green. But Charlton Heston's in the movie, so it gives it a lot of legitimacy that it's just not some home movie made somewhere on the back street. So it's a crazy, not bad movie.
Okay.
So
With Charlton Heston?
Charlton Heston's in it. Soylent Green.
Wow.
465 on the text line says, Murfreesboro Road is like playing Frogger with so many potholes.
It's very true.
It is. You know what? When you hear Frogger, what do you think about?
Seinfeld.
Exactly.
George Costanza. Which,
yes.
when I hear soup, I think of Seinfeld.
Right, exactly. Yes.
That's why it's in our promo. No soup for you.
Oh, man. Fantastic.
You know, thinking of the little video game that was on like the little Sega, you know what I'm talking about?
Frogger?
Yeah, Frogger.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there used to be a huge. You go to the arcade and play that game.
Really?
Yeah. It was fast. It was like they teased you with the first level. It's like, I could do this. And the second level, they teased you. The third level, it was impossible. You could not get that damn frog to the other side. It was impossible.
Nick, have you ever been to a true arcade?
I have. There is one here in Nashville. It's pretty cool.
Game terminals?
Yes.
It's
that's
great.
the one.
Okay, yeah.
You get lost for days.
I got lost in there for a while.
There was one in the Bellevue Mall when I was growing up called Tilt.
Yes. There was Hickory Hollow Mall too. Yes.
Yeah. And that was cuz I'm on the tail end of the arcade era. I mean, we obviously had Nintendos and Segas and things like that, but in our consoles, but I went, my mom or dad would drop me off, or they'd be walking around the mall and I'd go into the arcade and go play games, and they had the Simpsons one and the Ninja Turtles and Mortal Kombat, like all of those, Pac-Man, all the arcade style games, and just now they're considered like nostalgia places.
They are, aren't they? Because we got
but
nostalgia is the best. You know this, and I would tell you, there's few things in the world that make me more nervous in my entire life than playing Space Invaders. When they get down like the final 3 or 4, and then that damn music, and they start moving. I mean, I would get so nervous playing Space Invaders that I had to walk away from that game just for my mental health because it was so bad.
Yeah, man.
And then I learned the Pac-Man pattern, and then I was a badass after that. And then everybody else started picking up on. Then everybody else started picking up on the pattern, and it became. I'm talking like 1982, 83. It became an obsession with everybody to play. And the best part, remember the sit down? You could sit down and play Pac-Man like at Sir Pizza and do that stuff.
Oh yeah.
There was a Sir Pizza in Hermitage. We would just line up and play Pac-Man the entire time. But
would you do like, hey, I got winner or what?
Whatever, you just put your quarter down, right? And then so that's like you do on a pool table. And then we would all play it. And then I said years ago, if I get taken off this planet, I would grab my Pac-Man pattern book and go with me, man, just because that book opened up so much, so stupid back in the day. But I was 14 years old, right? And that was the whole fun of doing all that. And that's why I can't get into the excitement, the sound of being in the arcade was, heck, that was half the fun of all that.
Has JJ experienced an arcade at all, or is it all just on his
lost
phone,
his mind? There's a great place in Smyrna that's got one. We went to Game Terminal, and it's really because that's the young kids today were like Dr. Crane grew up on the playing video games on your TV, but it's a whole new world. But it was fascinating to them too, just like it's still to us, to go and play those games and be just taken aback by them. Like my first venture into video games on the TV was Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, Tecmo Bowl 2 is still to this day the greatest video game of all time. There's nothing better than Tecmo Bowl.
Is that the one that Bo was in?
You could not stop. Bo and Dion, you could not stop on Tecmo. It was so great to watch that and play. I mean, I would stay up for hours playing that game. Hours.
Yeah. It's a fantastic one. That is for sure. A little walk down memory lane. We'll have to ask TD. I bet he's got a few. Probably Tecmo Bowl. Played.
Tom in Nashville says, hey, guys, Eastside Bowl in Madison has a great arcade.
You would like, that is a cool place. It's kind of an old school bowling alley, like has the old school nostalgia, feel to it. So it's a good spot.
I like that. You guys are great on the text line. We have the best listeners. Mike in Gallatin says 840 North has craters, not just potholes. Hit one enforcement to the side of the road for 2.5 hours to get my tire fixed. So watch 840 North when all the craters out there. Good. All right.
Jeez. Well. Yeah, the potholes. Look, it's just unfortunately it's a part of where we are right now.
Yeah, it is. That's why we are. I can tell we're the People's Show, right? You have the People's Champion. We're the People's Show. We bring you all the great news and things that are happening with potholes around town and where to avoid, where not to go, and where the best arcades are to do that. I'll have to check out Eastside Bowl. Thank you, Tom.
You would like Eastside Bowl. That's a good spot.
What's your go-to game, real quick? What's your go-to game?
Like an arcade?
Yeah, you walk in, all the old. I have to go play Galaga just because it gets my blood pressure boiling. I love Galaga for days.
Mine still to this day. I mean, you can't go wrong with the arcade version of NFL Blitz, but still to this day, my favorite is this Ninja Turtles game from like 89 or 90.
Yes, that's great,
like,
man.
I love that game. Like where was I? It may have been like Six and Peabody had it. Like had the old school one, and I played it, and like we were there for some function, and finally somebody's like, Chase, you gotta pay attention. So yeah, that's a good one. Sean, our GM, texted me and said Madden 92. That was his. Yeah, I remember when the Maddens came out and they had in the arcades.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't see that one. That'd have been difficult because you can't program your players, right? You couldn't do that back then?
No, I mean, it was all whatever the roster was. It just
There's one at Game Terminal. I don't think it's Madden 92, but you can have two people on one machine. It's pretty
there's
neat.
Game Blitz. There's
and that too.
NFL Blitz.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play that.
We need to take a trip, road trip to Game Terminal again.
Galaga's mine, by the way, Joe. You kind of took mine. There's a strategy to that. You got to let your first little plane get hit. Right. You get it back, then you have two of them, and you get double the fun.
I think that Game Terminal should have us there to do the show together at CromwellMedia.
I totally agree. Fantastic.
I think that would be awesome. Coming up next, the Senior Bowl is this week, and Teron Davenport from ESPN is going to be there. We'll check in with him, get his thoughts on that, and also the latest with what the Titans coaching staff could look like. We'll do that next on the Chase and Big Joe Show, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. All right, ESPN Bet is my new official sportsbook, and you know what? It's now live in Tennessee. It's also the official sportsbook of ESPN, and ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. It's a fantastic app. It is very easy to use, easy to load your money in, and get to betting. You can sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. It's that simple. You make a bet, you get $100 for being a new customer. Find all your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props you can handle. I love a good prop. That's ESPN Bet. Download that app today. You must be 21 years or older in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. Term and conditions apply. See app for details. It's a Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, live today on this Tuesday. And, of course, as always, broadcasting from the Spring Hill Heating and Cooling Game Nashville studios, keeping your home feeling comfortable all year round. Let's say hello to our man, Teron Davenport, who's on the line with us. Are you in Mobile yet, my friend?
Absolutely. Sitting in the stands, enjoying the start of the national team practice.
Yeah, so I know this might be one of your favorite events because you can go down and watch the prospects. Who do you have your eye on for the Tennessee Titans potentially to take in the draft coming up in May?
How much time do we have?
We got as long as you want, my friend.
No, I'm kidding. There's a bunch of guys. I mean, you look at it from a receiver perspective, just from this national team who's going right now. You got Javon Baker from UCF. He's a route technician, very good there. He's going to really excel on one-on-ones. You got Roman Wilson, who just caught a pass. He's got a lot of speed, and you look on the other side of the ball, cornerback-wise, like a guy I like is Johnny Dixon out of Penn State. But he went against Jerry Rice's son, 2 reps so far, and both reps. You know, he got a bunch of flags flown at him, but he just broke up a slant route, and you always want corners that could cover that. So there's a lot of guys there on the outside. You look on, the O-line. You got Jordan Morgan from Arizona, who is a guy that could be an option. If they go receiver first and O-line second round, there's a possibility he'll be there at 38. You got him, Tyler Guyton, Talise Fuaga. These are all guys. I mean, it's stacked up positions that they need. So those are a few right there on this roster right now that's practicing.
Do you like that they've allowed the juniors to be there too, where you can really get a full view of what's going to be entering the draft?
Oh yeah, I love it because you get to see them for a week in practice and actually, go against other top talent. So it's definitely better from an evaluation standpoint for those who are out there doing that for these teams. So the more opportunities you get to look at these prospects, the better. So I'm all for it.
We're talking to Teron Davenport's down at the Senior Bowl. Teron, I love the Senior Bowl because it gives a chance for guys who are not on the radar every Saturday to really show out. And one that comes to mind is, Michael Strahan in 92 at the Senior Bowl just destroyed people. So I love the opportunity for these guys to do that who normally might, not get to see every Saturday. So it's always a good barometer of seeing these guys, and hopefully some guys will step out like that. Is that where a guy can really show what he's like during the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely. It's where a guy can show what he's like. I mean, you have a local option when you talk about Kevin Byard and what he did years ago. I remember being here, and, I was in Philly at the time, so obviously I didn't know what MTSU was. And, who is this guy with the blue helmet out here making plays on literally every ball that's in the air? And sure enough, he was a third-round pick, and we know the rest of the story. So there's guys, Malachi Corey, talk about another local cat. That's a receiver from Western Kentucky. He's someone that I think could shine. He's one of those guys. He's built a lot like Steve Smith, like a short, stocky receiver with attitude is going to get you yards after the catch. So you got to like that.
Teron, there's one of, I know there's always these guys that can show up and do great, but I remember there was years ago, Bishop Sankey went to the Senior Bowl and was on nobody's radar, and the Titans drafted him because he could pick up coverages when guys blitzed. He could pick up the blitzes from the backfield. Hopefully we don't see that this year because you know more about things that are going on just besides that. But how can guys really separate themselves from other guys during this week?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about at the running back position?
Just anywhere.
Or just in general? Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you look in general, it's just back up what you put on tape. That's really the biggest thing. But then also, you talk about the running back position. Look at what Tajay Spears did here last year, right? He came out here, showed that he could easily run routes and catch the football, and, that helped him. So it's just about showing proper technique in practice, and obviously in the meetings, you're able to talk about the game and break things down. Those are things that's all important. But, I mean, the bottom line is, simply put, just show that you can play ball.
Teron Davenport is with us live from the Senior Bowl. So Brian Callahan, Rand Carthon, not only going to be evaluating talent this week, but Brian Callahan putting together his staff. What have you heard when it comes to interviews, especially for both the offensive and defensive coordinators?
Well, you got Eric Stu. I can never pronounce his name. He's the running back coach there in Miami. You got him. Obviously, Nick Holes interviewed already, so those are the options. I haven't heard anything further than that. And obviously, Kaharski, he came out, he reported that Shane Bowen is the guy that's still in the mix as DC. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I haven't heard anything other than that. Denard Wilson, they interviewed him. So you have that. But one thing that you always see here is the mingling, right? Coaches come here and they're looking to make connections. And, I mean, I've seen guys come down here and get jobs, So actually I'm looking at Anthony Robinson right now, networking and shaking hands and talking to different people.
Would you like to see, somebody like a Shane Bowen, a couple of holdovers, or do you think that with this new era of Titans that we're talking about that maybe just a fresh start for everybody would be the right play?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Charles London is a guy, I'm confused why he didn't get retained. But, I mean, obviously Brian Callahan, he has his agenda and his list of guys. But, you look at him. I thought Rob Moore would be one to look at. I really like the safety coach. I like him, Scott Booker. So there are options. One that is just a mainstay that I think would just be foolish to move on from is Terrell Williams, because you could never have enough experience in the coaching room, and he's a guy, how this D-line plays for him. You look at what he's done with guys. I mean, Kyle Pecco, he brought him along, Tierra Tart from undrafted, to a guy who was starting and a difference maker in run defense before everything kind of fell apart. So Terrell Williams is one, and we'll see him in the next practice because he's the head coach of the American team.
Yeah, Terrell, what does the head coach of the Senior Bowl do?
It's an opportunity now the way that they have it set up. It's a collection of coaches, so it's not one staff. But it's just a good chance to, get hands-on experience on what it's like to run the show. And then also, you're communicating with the scouts and everyone else, and you're trying to, make sure that each of these players gets showcased correctly.
Teron, what's more important, the Senior Bowl activities or Pro Day?
That's tough. I would probably say Pro Day because that's like your last impression, right? Before, like your last physical impression. Obviously, after the Pro Days, you have the top 30 visits and stuff like that. But that's the last opportunity that you have to show them, your traits. So I would say that. But Senior Bowl is important too, because this is your first opportunity to show in person, right, how you are in a week of practice. If I had to pick one, though, I'd say Pro Day.
As everybody looks at the Titans and drafting at pick number 7, and there's the debate. If one of those dynamic receivers is there, do you take them? If Joe Alt or offensive lineman's there, do you take them? And Brian Callahan was on with Jared and was the perfect guy to really break this down because he went through it with Cincinnati, a few years ago when they ended up taking Jamar Chase, and we've seen how that's turned out instead of Penei Sewell. Does that give you, even more confidence that he can even advise Rand Carthon of like, hey, this is everything that we looked at and that we went through in Cincinnati, that they're going to get that pick right because we all know they have to nail that pick.
Yeah, they have to nail it. I think that's just yet another opinion, experience that you could have in the room as far as someone who's kind of been there and done that. I know, from talking to people, like that was a long process, and there were a lot of people on both sides of it. But at the end of the day, they wanted, the guy that they knew could score touchdowns. And that's all Jamar Chase did at LSU. So, yeah, it worked out for both teams. I think, this is another situation, like whether you have like Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu, you back that up with one of the Xaviers, whether it's Worthy from Texas or Leggett from South Carolina. Like you could combine it that way, or you got, a Dunze, you got Neighbors, and then you combine that with, one of the tackles that may be available at the top of the second. So it's going to be interesting seeing like how the board falls and how they go about. It's pretty obvious they're going to have to, unless an outstanding prospect is there that they'd never even imagine would be there, it's pretty obvious they're going to have to go some combination of O-line and receiver in the first couple rounds. Now, of course, you never draft out of need. You always make sure that you follow the board. You don't reach, because that's how you end up with Corey Davis at number 5. And no slight to Corey Davis, you know what I mean. But that's how you end up with that situation where you put a player in a position that's just like not good for him. You know what I mean?
Teron, did all the quarterbacks show up? I'm looking at the roster right now. It's a nice list of guys. You got Joe Milton, Rattler, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. All them show up?
Yeah, look, Bo Nix, Penix, and Hartman are here now, so you're definitely getting to see those guys. We didn't see the American team. They start at 12 o'clock Central, so we'll see if those other guys show up. I don't see why not. I think when you're a good player, a good prospect, you want to take every opportunity you can to make that impression that you need to make this team draft you.
Teron, all these guys, these players so good. Who's the one guy that you're looking forward to see how he does this week?
Oh man, there's
it's hard, isn't it?
You know what? I'm gonna go with a safety because Malik Mustafa out of Wake Forest is the one I'm looking forward to seeing him because you watch him on tape and you see how physical he is and how he plays all over the place. So that would probably be one. But I mean, it's tough to say just one. That's the beauty of coming to something like this. There's so many guys that you know get to see. Like you look, like I talked about Javon Baker from UCF. You know the way he runs routes and everything. Looking forward to seeing him too. So there's a million of them.
Well, Teron, we look forward to your coverage from down there. You know, you always have a strong shoe game, and I know that Soho Gallery in Hendersonville, they're a part of your coverage this week. But tell us a little bit more about them.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Make sure you definitely make your way to Hendersonville, Soho Gallery. You can check them out on soho615.com. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to the shoe game. They have something in your budget. They'll give you the excellent advice on which way to go. And then if you're, you know, a pure sneakerhead, they have all the selections for you. In fact, they have a special gallery of Jordans that you could go check out. So definitely make sure you go see the guys over there. And when you spend $100, you mention code TD, and you're TD10, TD10, and you'll get $10 off of 100. So go ahead and holler at them.
Yeah, absolutely. TD, thanks so much, and we look forward to checking in with you this week.
All right, for sure. Appreciate you.
All right, that is Teron Davenport. He is down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, watching practices right now as the stars of the NFL, the future stars of the NFL, get ready to make that transition. So looking forward to his reports all week. Coming up next, we'll tell you what day it is and also celebrity birthdays. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game. Tune in at 94.9 The Fan tomorrow as Vanderbilt men's basketball takes on Auburn on the road. Pregame at 7:30 and the tip-off at 8 with coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app. So looking forward to that. Appreciate Teron Davenport for joining us here on the program. Senior Bowl is always, I mean, that to me, Joe, is the official kickoff to draft season.
You made a good question to TD about allowing the juniors allowing the juniors now to go to the Senior Bowl, and I think it opens up a lot of possibilities. And now remember the Hula Bowl back in the day, and people went and had fun, and now so it's turned into more that is now gone. I know the East-West Shrine Bowl's out there, but the Senior Bowl is the one where you determine a lot of things. And I brought that question up to Michael Strahan because, again, he was a guy out of Texas Southern, I think it was, or Texas A&I, whatever it was, that didn't get a lot of play on Saturdays, and he come to the Senior Bowl and just dominated and really opened the eyes. Like, all right, this guy is amazing. And so there's a lot of money can be made for these guys at the Senior Bowl.
Well, and that's a prime example that shows you of, with this ever-changing landscape of college football, how important these quote-unquote smaller programs are, because you never know what you're going to find. You'll find those diamonds in the rough. And I know it's different now with NIL and the transfer portal, but I still think there's a spot for guys like that. I mean, we used to talk about Nate Washington, that played for the Steelers and played for the Titans. He went to Tiffin University, and you had never heard of Tiffin until Nate Washington got here. So,
that's right.
I mean, that's just something to always keep in mind. All right, Dr. Crane, tell us what day it is.
So today we have, it's a short list, National Croissant Day. I don't know if either of you were croissants.
I love a good croissant.
There you go. Big Joe, yeah?
Yeah, Burger King's got them. They're good.
Okay.
So does Duncan.
Didn't know any of this. All right, next one we have is National Escape Day.
God, every day, trust me.
See ya.
Every day.
Next one we have is National Inane Answering Messaging Day.
Okay.
We're just going to move on, Joe.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, that's good.
National Plan for Vacation Day.
Every second of every day.
Doing that as we speak.
Next one we have is National School Day of Nonviolence and Peace. That's always a good thing to have.
It is.
Next one we have is, actually the last one, Yodel for Your Neighbor Day.
I think if I yodeled, my neighbor would shoot me, so I'm going to pass on that.
I can't say I've ever yodeled at my neighbor.
Yodelay.
No, dude, if you yodel, you got to do the ricole, right? Is that how you do it with the yodel back in the days?
That's about it. That's about as far as I can go.
All right, time for America's favorite game, Celebrity Birthdays, brought to you by Possibly You.
Email us together at CromwellMedia.com.
All right, first birthday today is the great actor Gene Hackman. How old is Gene Hackman?
I'm going to say 91.
84.
94.
Dang.
By the way, he was the best Lex Luthor of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Actress Vanessa Redgrave.
I'm not placing her.
Well, you shouldn't place her.
Well, I mean, can you give me a hint of what she was?
Yeah,
in?
her first Oscar nomination came in 1967.
Oh, well, that helps. 90.
87.
87 exactly.
Wow.
Dr. Crane is a big Vanessa Redgrave fan. Next up is singer Phil Collins, who I regret I've never seen in concert and probably never will.
Would
Phil
love to
Collins.
see him in concert. Genesis, great. 72.
77.
73. Tied at 1. It's hard to believe he's 73, man. Next birthday, Christian Bale, Batman. Second best Batman of all time.
Who was the first?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I agree with that. Christian Bale is 56.
46.
50. Both are wrong. But you good try, though, there. Actor Wilmer Valderrama.
I think I know who that is.
He was on That 70s Show.
Yeah. Okay. He's on NCIS now. 48.
Oh, boy. 54.
44. Come on, Dr. Crane.
Dang.
You got it. It's all right there. All right, country singer Jeannie Pruitt.
I don't know who that is either, so I'm going to go 59.
63.
She's 87.
Nice.
Man, she looks young.
Actor Charles Dutton. He was in Rockies, also in Rudy.
78.
83.
73. Singer Jody Watley. Next one wins.
64.
Jody Watley, 72.
65. Chase McCabe at the buzzer. Good job, Chase. We're proud of you, buddy.
Thank you so much. That will do it for us. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mase coming up next.
Yeah, hey, well done. Listen, we do this message every day. I lost a dear friend Friday to suicide. I want to tell you guys out there again, if you're struggling, please reach out. Call us. Call 988 on your cell phone. Don't let all of us go through this, all right? I want you to know that God put you on this earth for a purpose. You're irreplaceable. Our world is a better place because you were here. If you're struggling, please, please, please reach out to us.
Amen to that. Peace, love, and rock and roll. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mase coming up next. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.